thank all y'all for coming in today. This is for one of my EDS classes. We had to do a new teacher induction plan and a mentoring program that's based on Alabama State Department of Education guidelines that coincide with our local Dale County board policy. This right here is a condensed version of our original PowerPoint. Our original PowerPoint was about 65 slides, so I condensed down and trying to show the highlights of what we're going to do in our induction plan. Ms. Hartzog, would you please click it? This will be a 3-day process that will be held during the summer and then throughout the year with the mentoring program. Day 1, we will look at the legal and ethical issues with being a teacher. We will review the Alabama Educator Code of Ethics and then different challenges that are out there for new teachers. Click it. The Alabama Educator Code of Ethics. Next slide. I just went through and kind of highlighted some of there's several different standards in the Code of Ethics, but I just wanted to highlight some for today that would kind of discuss some of the things that you mainly focus on when you're going through new teacher induction. As far as an educator, first and foremost, you should respect your fellow educators. One of the things that a lot of our education experienced educators don't really focus on right now is collaboration among team members. I think that's something that's important. I think it's important for the future of education that we collaborate and we're teaching on the same level and the same amount of coursework for different students. Encourage high standards among all your other teachers. Some of the things educators should not do, cursing around students, cursing around any other professional members, misuse or mismanagement of test materials. And this one right here, this is the one that always usually causes most of your problems, especially with new teachers, is failing to provide supervision. Most of your discipline issues, most of your times when students are going to be misbehaving is when they're not doing their job, when the teacher's not doing their job and they're not supervising. One of the things that I've always stuck to is if a teacher's doing their job, then generally the students are going to be doing theirs. So that's very important. Next. So skip over to standard number 3. These are just the basic facts of how you're going to gain or retain employment as a teacher. Don't commit a crime. If you're arrested, then that's something that's you're going to be held accountable for as a teacher. And then no acts of moral turpitude. All right, you can't be an immoral person and be a teacher. Next, teacher-student relationships. This is something that's very important. Educators should advocate for students. You should be able to provide an environment where students are not embarrassed. Create a rigorous education program. This right here is very important. And this is, teachers have been fired, they have lost their certificates for doing these kind of things. Harassing students, providing tobacco, providing alcohol to students. And the bottom one, developing any kind of intimate relationship of a personal nature with a student. That's something that's very important, and that's something that is in the news almost on a daily deal, where teachers are having inappropriate relationships with students that'll get you fired. Click it. Alcohol and tobacco, we've already talked about that. You should explain the dangers of drugs and alcohol to all of your students at all times. You should not have in your possession any alcohol, drugs, anything. You shouldn't have it in presence of students. You should be alcohol or drug free anytime that you're on campus. Click it. And this is the next, the primary, one of the other primary ones that you'll see teachers who lose their jobs is the misuse of public funds and property. You should maximize school funds, try to raise money for the clubs, the organizations, the athletic programs that you're in charge of. You need to try to model respect for property for students. This right here is how educators will also lose their jobs. Misuse of public funds. Keeping a petty cash drawer, in their desk. Those are the things that will, during an audit, teachers get caught doing this all the time. So this is one of the most important things. You need to be accountable for your club accounts. Any kind of money that you receive, you need to receipt it, you need to turn it in properly. That's very important. Thank you. Confidentiality. You've got to keep your relationships, any kind of information between you and other teachers and other students, you've got to keep that personal and confidential. Okay? Next. Day two talks about technology in the classroom. It talks a lot about special education. We're really not going to hit a lot of the parts or issues on special education today, just because that really takes up almost an entire morning of the induction process. English language learners, we're going to talk a little bit about career tech education and pre-K programs, which is relatively new to the Dale County schools. That actually just started this semester. Thank you. Technology in the classroom. Technology is something that's not changing. So my best advice to young teachers is to try to find technology that works in your classroom, find an acceptable use policy for ways that you can enhance it with your students, because this is a technology age. So you can either grasp it or you can refuse it in your classroom, but I believe that eventually you're going to lose that battle, because students, that's how they learn today. Click it. All internet access is filtered through the Alabama supercomputer. That's throughout the entire state of Alabama. So everything is, there are certain things that are restricted to minors. So that is one thing that we can control throughout the state. Click it. Some of the things that the users you need to comply with any kind of district rules and policies, and obey all the copyright laws. That's a big thing that's out right now too. Click it. There is a handbook acknowledgement form that confirms parents and students understandable of the acceptable use policy, and there are instances in which parents can say that they don't want their child using technology, and that's perfectly fine too. Next. Violation. A violation could result in teachers or students not being able to use any of the technology in the school. Next. Introduction into programs. The next few slides we're going to talk about different programs within the system. Special education. I'm not really going to get into special education a lot, because it is such a long process, and there are a lot of laws and confidentiality parts that we've got to be very mindful of, but that's something that we'll be focused on during the induction. Like I said, confidentiality of special education folders. Any children with disabilities, these records have to be stored, reviewed, and utilized in a manner that will ensure confidentiality. They must be stored in a limited access location. It must be locked up. Next. And destroying information. This is very important. Special education records must be retained for 5 years after a student is still in school. Miss Avery, click it. English language learner program. This is students who are learning English as their second language. This just talks about some of the goals associated with it. Click it. You can click it, Ms. Hartzog. Career and technical education. We do offer career tech education classes throughout the county. Career tech education offers students an opportunity to apply what is learned in their academic classes to real-world hands-on activities or applications that will be beneficial in the 21st century workplace. Click it. Some of the programs that are offered within Dale County are consumer services, family studies and community services, cosmetology, business marketing, agribusiness systems, health services, aviation, agri-science, and horticulture. The system is happy to provide students and teachers with cutting-edge technology. The goal for technology fluency is fluency for students as well as teachers. One of the big problems that you'll find that the teachers are actually not as what's the word? What am I looking for? Somebody help me. They're not as knowledgeable in technology as kids are today, and that's one of the challenges that we face. A lot of teachers are they're apprehensive about using technology in their classroom because they feel like students actually know it better than them. So one of the things that we've got to focus on is professional development for teachers. Click it. And then pre-K education. Now, we actually just started our first pre-K education class in the south end of the county this semester. It does provide effective, high-quality early childhood experiences. Click it. Some of the advantages of pre-K. Studies have shown that students who enter into pre-K are less likely to repeat grades. They score higher on achievement tests. And this bottom one is kind of important. They're more likely to stay out of prison and off of welfare. So it's good to start them early. Click it. Day 3. Day 3 is when we'll actually talk about the new teacher induction, new teacher workshops, mentoring program, and the records and the scheduling. Click it. How are we doing on time? The need for mentoring and induction. Teachers feel more connected to their school if they do have a mentor to teach them how the functions of the school. I remember when I first started at Ayrton School, my mentor was Mr. Brooks. And Mr. Brooks was a phenomenal mentor. He was always engaging. He always wanted to make sure that I understood the functions of the day-to-day activities of Ayrton School, and that helped me out a lot. Research shows that new teachers will stay in the profession longer if they have a mentor. They have a sense of community and belonging. And then education is not done in isolation. Click it. The new teacher induction usually consists of in-service sessions at the beginning of the school year. It usually lasts 1 to 3 days. It includes new teachers, principals, district level administrators, as well as the superintendent. Click it. Some school systems offer additional workshop opportunities, but we do not offer that in Dale County. Click it. The mentoring program. This is what actually happens throughout the school year, where a mentor is set up with a new teacher. They have weekly planning sessions. They have instructional support. Technology and maintenance requests are updated. Any classroom management support. Emotional and social support. Sometimes you just need a shoulder to cry on, I guess. I never cried on Mr. Brooks' shoulder. Click it. Some of the things, and these things are as an experienced teacher, you actually understand how these things function and how they work in various schools. But as a new teacher, these are some of the challenges that people they don't understand, such as purchase ordering, the way to access funds throughout the county, reporting issues to your principal, using IEPs, 504s, interventions. Those kind of processes are things that are different in different schools. So it's important that a new teacher is allowed access and education on that. Click it. And that sums up my presentation for today. Are there any questions?
I don't have any. No, sir.
All right, thank you.